Okay, so you want to get into a profitable online business,
Yeah.
but you don't want to spend hours researching all the
Right.
options.
Tons of articles out there.
So we're going to do a deep dive into an article that was published yesterday
Okay.
to make sure you're totally up to date on the latest and greatest ways to make money online.
That's right.
It's called 12 Profitable Online Businesses to Go Into,
Mm-hmm.
and it's from blogwidow.com.
Sounds promising.
Yeah, and it's got some really interesting ideas.
I bet.
From e-commerce to affiliate marketing
Okay.
to digital products and even YouTube channels.
Wow, that's a pretty wide range.
Yeah, and we're going to break it all down for you.
Great.
So you can figure out which one is right for you.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's start with e-commerce, specifically dropshipping.
Okay, so dropshipping is a really popular model right now.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, it's a way to sell products online without actually having to hold any inventory.
So, like, you don't have to have a warehouse full of stuff.
Exactly. You partner with suppliers who handle all the storage and shipping.
So how does that work?
You set up an online store
Yeah.
using a platform like Shopify or WooCommerce.
Okay.
You list the products you want to sell.
And then what?
When a customer places an order,
Mm-hmm.
you buy the product from the supplier,
Okay.
and they ship it directly to the customer.
So you never actually touch the product.
Nope.
That's pretty cool. And what are the benefits of that?
Well, the biggest one is that it's a lot cheaper to get started.
Because you don't have to buy all that inventory up front.
Right, and you don't have to worry about storage costs or shipping logistics.
That makes sense. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be harder to control the quality of the products.
Because you're not actually handling them yourself,
Right, and you're also relying on the supplier to ship the products on time.
which could be a problem if they're not reliable.
Exactly. So it's important to choose your suppliers carefully.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to affiliate marketing
So affiliate marketing is all about recommending other people's products or services.
and earning a commission on each sale.
Exactly. You sign up for an affiliate program,
Okay.
and they give you a unique link to share.
Then what?
When someone clicks on your link and makes a purchase,
Mm-hmm.
you get a commission.
So it's like being a salesperson, but you don't have to actually deal with any customers.
Pretty much.
That's pretty cool. So how do you find affiliate programs?
There are tons of them out there.
Really?
You can find them for just about any niche.
Okay, so like if I was into fitness, I could find affiliate programs for fitness products
Exactly. And you could promote those products on your blog or social media channels.
and earn a commission every time someone buys something through your link.
Oh.
That's pretty awesome. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be tough to get started.
Because you need to build up an audience first.
Right. And you also need to make sure you're promoting products that are actually relevant to your audience.
Otherwise, they're not going to be interested.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to digital products.
So digital products are things like ebooks, courses, and printables.
Okay, so anything that can be downloaded.
Exactly. And the great thing about them is that you only have to create them once.
And then you can sell them over and over again.
Yep.
That's awesome. So what are some examples of digital products that people are selling?
Well, there are tons of options.
Like what?
People are selling ebooks on everything from cooking to fitness to personal finance.
Yep.
And they're selling online courses on topics like web design, coding, and marketing.
And printables like what?
Things like planners, checklists, and worksheets.
So basically anything that people can use to make their lives easier? That's pretty cool. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be time-consuming to create a high-quality digital product.
Yeah, I bet.
And you also need to be good at marketing.
To get people to actually buy your product.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to SaaS.
SaaS stands for Software as a Service. And it's a business model where you create software that people pay for on a subscription basis.
So like monthly or yearly.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some examples of SaaS products?
There are tons of examples.
Like what?
Well, there are project management tools like Asana and Trello,
Okay.
and CRM systems like Salesforce,
And what else?
and email marketing platforms like MailChimp.
So basically any software that people use on a regular basis? That's pretty cool. So what are the benefits of the SaaS model?
Well, the biggest benefit is that it's a recurring revenue model.
So you get paid every month or every year.
Exactly, which makes it a lot more predictable than other business models.
That's awesome. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be expensive to develop and maintain software.
Yeah, I bet.
And you also need to be good at customer support.
Because people are going to have questions about how to use your software.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to online coaching and consulting.
Okay, so online coaching and consulting is all about using your expertise to help other people.
So like if you're a business coach, you could help people start and grow their businesses.
Exactly. Or if you're a fitness coach, you could help people get in shape.
Okay.
Or if you're a life coach, you could help people achieve their personal goals.
So basically you can coach or consult on anything that you're good at.
Pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what are the benefits of this model?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it's a high profit margin business.
Because you're essentially selling your time and expertise.
Exactly. And you can also work from anywhere in the world.
That's awesome. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be tough to find clients.
Psst, especially when you're first starting out.
Right. And you also need to be good at marketing yourself.
To get people to trust you and hire you.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to membership sites.
So membership sites are a way to create recurring revenue by offering exclusive content or services to members.
So like a monthly subscription?
Exactly.
Okay, so what are some examples of membership sites?
Where there are tons of examples.
Like what?
There are membership sites for online courses
Okay.
and membership sites for communities
And what else?
and membership sites for coaching programs.
So basically any type of content or service that can be delivered online?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So what are the benefits of this model?
Well, the biggest benefit is that it's a recurring revenue model.
So you get paid every month or every year?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which makes it a lot more predictable than other business models.
that's awesome. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be tough to get people to sign up for a membership.
Because they have to commit to paying you on a regular basis.
Right. And you also need to make sure you're providing enough value to keep people coming back month after month.
Otherwise, they're going to cancel their membership.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to app development.
Okay, so app development is a huge industry right now.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Everyone uses apps.
So there's a lot of potential to make money.
Absolutely.
So how do you get started with app development?
Well, you need to have an idea for an app.
Okay, and then what?
Then you need to develop the app.
Which means you need to know how to code.
Or you can hire someone to do it for you.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are some examples of successful apps?
There are tons of examples.
Like what?
Well, there are social media apps like Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
and messaging apps like WhatsApp and Messenger,
And what else?
and gaming apps like Candy Crush and Fortnite.
So basically anything that people use on their phones,
Yep.
that's pretty cool. So what are the downsides of app development?
Well, it can be expensive to develop an app,
Yeah, I bet.
and it can also be tough to get your app noticed in the App Store.
Because there are millions of apps out there.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to YouTube channels.
So YouTube is a great platform for building an audience and making money.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who watch YouTube all the time.
Me too.
So how do you make money on YouTube?
Well, there are a few different ways.
Like what?
You can make money from ads.
Okay.
You can make money from sponsorships.
And what else?
And you can make money from affiliate marketing.
So basically you can make money from doing what you love.
Pretty much.
That's awesome. So what are the downsides?
Well, it can be tough to build up a following.
Yeah, you have to create great content that people actually want to watch.
Right. And you also need to be consistent with your uploads.
Otherwise, people will forget about you.
Exactly.
Pretty makes sense. Let's move on to freelance writing and content creation.
So freelance writing and content creation is a great way to make money online.
Yeah, especially if you're good at writing.
Exactly. And there's a huge demand for content right now.
So there are plenty of opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
So how do you get started with freelance writing?
Well, you need to build up a portfolio of your work,
Okay.
and then you need to start pitching clients.
Okay, so where do you find clients?
There are a few different places you can find clients.
Like what?
You can find clients on freelance platforms like Upwork and Fiverr.
Okay.
You can find clients through social media,
And what else?
and you can find clients through networking.
So basically you just need to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are the downsides of freelance writing?
Well, it can be feast or famine,
Meaning that sometimes you have a lot of work and sometimes you have none.
right? And it can also be tough to manage your time when you're working for yourself.
Yeah, you have to be disciplined.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to SEO services.
So SEO stands for search engine optimization,
Okay.
and it's the process of improving a website's ranking in search results.
So like if you want your website to show up on the first page of Google, you need to do SEO.
Exactly, and it's a very in-demand service.
Because every business wants to be on the first page of Google.
Right.
So how do you provide SEO services?
Well, you need to have a deep understanding of how search engines work,
Okay.
And you need to be able to implement strategies that will improve a website's ranking.
So like what kind of strategies?
Things like keyword research, link building, and content optimization.
Okay, so basically it's a lot of technical stuff.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So what are the downsides of providing SEO services?
Well, it can be a very competitive industry.
Because there are a lot of people offering SEO services.
Right, and it can also be difficult to keep up with the latest changes in the SEO world.
Because Google is constantly updating its algorithms.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to social media management.
So social media management is all about helping businesses manage their social media presence.
So like creating content, scheduling posts, and engaging with followers.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you provide social media management services?
Well, you need to have a deep understanding of the different social media platforms,
Okay.
and you need to be able to create engaging content that will get people talking.
So like what kind of content?
Things like videos, images, and articles.
Okay, so basically anything that will capture people's attention.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So what are the downsides of providing social media management services?
Well, it can be a lot of work.
Because you're constantly having to come up with new content.
Right, and it can also be tough to keep up with the latest social media trends.
Because they're always changing.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's move on to stock photography.
So stock photography is a great way to make passive income.
Okay, so how does it work?
You take photos
Okay.
and you upload them to stock photo websites.
And then what?
People can buy licenses to use your photos.
And you get paid.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. So what kind of photos do people buy?
People buy all sorts of photos.
Like what?
They buy photos of people, places, and things.
So basically anything that they can use for their websites, marketing materials, and so on.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. So what are the downsides of stock photography?
Well, it can be tough to stand out from the competition.
Because there are a lot of photographers out there.
Right. And it can also take a while to start making money.
Because you need to build up a portfolio of photos first.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've covered all 12 online business models.
We have.
And they all sound pretty awesome.
They do.
But how do you know which one is right for you?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And it really depends on your individual skills, interests, and goals.
Okay, so like if you're a good writer, you might want to consider freelance writing or content creation.
Exactly. Or if you're good at marketing, you might want to consider affiliate marketing or social media management.
Okay.
And if you're good at coding, you might want to consider SaaS or app development.
That makes sense. So basically, you just need to figure out what you're good at and what you enjoy doing.
Exactly. And then you can choose a business model that aligns with your strengths and passions.
That's great advice.
Thanks.
And I think that's a great place to end our deep dive.
I agree.
So thanks for listening.
And good luck with your online business ventures.
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah,
Before you jump into any of these businesses, make sure you do your research.
that's right.
These are just ideas to get you started.
Don't take them as financial advice.
Yeah, talk to an expert if you need help.
And remember, there are no guarantees in business.
But if you're willing to work hard and learn,
You can achieve anything you set your mind to.
that's right. So get out there and make your dreams a reality.
You got it.
Thanks again for listening.
See you next time.
Bye.